This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see, folks, if the New York Knicks can get back on the winning track. They've lost 3 games in a row, 2 of them on the West Coast. 1 back at home. They lost to Charlotte. They lost to Sacramento. Yesterday, they lost to the Los Angeles Clippers. They stay in L.A. so they can take on the Lakers tonight at 9 p.m. on ESPN, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a very different Lakers team. Nothing like the Lakers team that the Knicks faced back in January 31st, I believe it was. Nothing like that Lakers team. This one is very different. I'm not even sure. I mean, obviously, there's videotape of this team playing. But, how the defensive matchups are totally different. The starting unit is totally different. So we're not even going to look at the numbers today. All right, because there's not enough of a – we're just not going to look at the numbers. We're not going to compare what they did the last time they played because the team is very different. The Knicks are actually coming into this game different because Josh Hart is now a part of the team from the last time that they played. And then, of course, Jalen Brunson is sitting out today. Yes, Jalen Brunson is out for tonight's game, which is probably the best thing. All right. We talked about it last night on, it wasn't really a post-game show. It came hours after the Knicks lost to the Los Angeles Clippers, but we talked about it last night on the show. It's probably best for Jalen Brunson to not come back until he's fully healthy. No sense in forcing it. I know there's people calling for Derrick Rose and this and that. I mean, to me, I think you do what you've been doing. Deuce McBride, step up into the second unit. Emmanuel quickly, start at point guard, and figure it out from there. As a matter of fact, look, this is an opportunity. While it's unfortunate that Jalen Brunson is out, I think it's an opportunity for the Knicks to learn how to play without him. Because there may come a time in the playoffs that the Knicks need to play without Jalen Brunson. We don't want that to happen, and it doesn't have to be due to injury. It could be foul trouble. It could be anything. But the Knicks need to learn how to play without him and play well without Jalen Brunson. They did so one time versus the Boston Celtics. Played very well without Jalen Brunson. They have not been able to duplicate that type of performance since. Emmanuel quickly played well yesterday, 26 points. But other people got to play well. Julius Randle has to play well. RJ Barrett has to play well. Julius Randle played a terrible game yesterday versus the Clippers. He ended up with 19 points, but he shot the ball terribly. And, of course, he had a meltdown that had Knicks fans saying, I told you we should have traded him, right? Knicks fans saying, I told you we should have traded him when his stock was high and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe in that. You know what I mean? The team has to help Julius Randle get through it. Julius Randle has to learn how to control his temper. The Knicks need Julius Randle on his basketball team. This particular basketball team, they need Julius Randle out there. Right? The Knicks aren't in this position without Julius Randle. You know what I mean? So it's going to be an interesting game tonight. Again, for the New York Knicks, Jalen Brunson is out. For the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James is out. Mo Bamba is out for the Lakers. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Knicks match up with these lineups. For the Knicks, the projected starting lineups, and Jalen Brunson is not playing, ladies and gentlemen, so we can take Jalen Brunson's name off the board, and I will do so expeditiously to make sure that we know that Jalen Brunson is not playing. All right, Jalen Brunson is out, so it's going to be Emmanuel Quickley at the starting spot, Quentin Grimes at the shooting guard spot, R.J. Barrett at the small forward spot, Julius Randle at the power forward spot, and Mitchell Robinson at the center spot for the Knicks. Now, when you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, this is a completely different starting lineup, especially because LeBron James is not there. Right? So it makes this lineup very different than what it was. Okay, so you begin with D'Angelo Russell returning to the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, he's a crafty guard. D'Angelo Russell is. He can shoot the three ball. He can go to the basket. He can pass the ball. He's crafty. And then you got Malik Beasley at the shooting guard spot. All right, both players the Los Angeles Lakers picked up at the trade deadline. You got Troy Brown Jr. playing the 3 spot with LeBron James being out. You got Jared Vanderbilt at the power forward spot, right? They picked up Jared Vanderbilt at the trade deadline. And then you got Anthony Davis at center. All right, so this is a different basketball team that the Knicks are facing. So when you look at these lineups, you really do have to start talking about matchups. All right, the one thing that the Knicks don't have to worry about, because Jalen Brunson isn't playing, is who Jalen Brunson is going to match up with. So when you look at these lineups, for the most part, you can look at IQ. You can look at Quentin Grimes and say he'll probably guard D'Angelo Russell. And to be honest with you, I don't even know who the better defender is right now between Quentin Grimes and Emmanuel Quickley, because Emmanuel Quickley is playing at a very high level defensively. So I'm not sure who the better defender is. I'm going to go with Grimes on D'Angelo Russell because Grimes has a little bit more length than Emmanuel Quickley. Grimes is 6'5". D'Angelo Russell is 6'4". I think Grimes' length, not that he's super, super long, but I think Grimes' length can do a better job of getting in the passing lanes or disturbing D'Angelo Russell's vision than Emmanuel Quickley. And I'm not saying that Grimes is going to shut him down or stop him. I'm just saying I think Grimes can do a better job at that than Emmanuel Quickley because Grimes is a little bit longer than Emmanuel Quickley. And, of course, D'Angelo Russell is a passer. He's a shooter, too, but he can pass the ball. He's facilitating right now for the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James being out. So I would put Grimes on D'Angelo Russell. I put Quickley on Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley, with the Los Angeles Lakers, since he's been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, is averaging about 11 points per game. We know Malik Beasley can, we know that he can get off and score the basketball. All right? Emmanuel Quickley should do a pretty good job on Malik Beasley now. Emmanuel Quickley's about 6'2", 6'3". Malik Beasley, 6'4". So, the size difference isn't too bad there. So I think Quickley can do a good job defending Malik Beasley. All right, D'Angelo Russell is averaging, I think, 17 points per game or something since coming to the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, and of course, as I said before, we'll have Quentin Grimes on D'Angelo Russell. Now we start to get to the guys that, obviously, we need Emmanuel Quickley. The Knicks need Emmanuel Quickley to perform at a high level right now. You know what I mean? he's got to perform. He's got to duplicate. He can't duplicate Jalen Brunson, but he's got to do some of the things that Jalen Brunson does as far as being a primary ball handler. Take the ball out of Julius Randle's hands and let Emmanuel quickly be the primary ball handler. Get inside. Stay on your feet so you can kick it out if necessary. Emmanuel quickly can do these things. Julius Randle has to allow him to do it. Over the past few games, without Jalen Brunson on the floor, the Knicks have looked like last year's Knicks, right? A frustrated Julius Randle, a Julius Randle that's giving you turnovers, guys not being able to hit shots, still hustling and bustling on the defensive end, and I mean, against the Sacramento Kings, they grabbed like 23 offensive rebounds or something crazy like that. But then the shot selection off of those rebounds was terrible. 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. Some of that comes from not having a guy like Jalen Brunson out there on the floor to help you to get things under control. So Quickly's got to play that role. The one thing I'm not sure about with Quickly is, does he have the stature on the team to say, hey, give me the ball. We're going to calm this down. Number one, does he have the stature? And then number two, will Emmanuel Quickly do it? Right? Will Emmanuel Quickly do it? That's another question. And I'm not saying that he doesn't want to do it. Is it within his game? Is it within his IQ set to understand, hey, it's time to slow this down. It's time to get things under control. Emmanuel Quickly, to me, is best played when he's attacking, when he's in attack mode, when he's in score mode. That's the best Emmanuel Quickly in my opinion. When he has to play this lead guard in the offense, I don't know if you get the best Emmanuel Quickly. I still think he's adequate and he's still good. But I don't know if you get the best Emmanuel Quickly. And it may be one of the reasons that Tom Thibodeau still has Julius Randle handling the ball when Emmanuel Quickly is out there running that point guard spot. Because he may feel that Quickly is, you can use Quickly best off ball, scoring the ball, in attack mode all the time. But I think right now, Julius Randle is struggling too much. You need to get the ball out of his hands. You know what I mean? We've seen in the last game how Julius Randle will still respond if there's too much pressure, if he's getting too much attention. Now, he was playing a team that had Marcus Morris on there, and Marcus Morris is one of those guys that can and will get under your skin. Not to mention, he's played with Julius Randle before. He played with him for about a year. Close to a year, half of a season. But, during that time, I'm pretty sure he was able to see and practice the way that Julius Randle might react to some things. So he was able to use that against him last night or yesterday. And I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, teams know it. And right now, with Jalen Brunson being out, that's on the scouting report. Get under Julius Randle's skin. Make him upset. See if he'll have an outburst. It's on the scouting report. I don't know if the Los Angeles Lakers have the type of players that will get under Julius Randle's skin in that manner. You know what I mean? But it's on the scouting report. And Julius Randle's got to do a better job of keeping himself under control, controlling his emotions, controlling his anger. Let me rephrase that. You're not going to be able to control whether or not you get angry. You're not going to be able to control how you feel. But you can control the actions. Right? So, yeah, Randle might get upset. he's got to be able to control the action. He might get emotional. He's got to be able to control the action. You know what I'm saying? So I'm expecting Randall to come back and be better tonight, at least in that category. Hopefully the shooting comes back. He can refocus. You know what I mean? Allow Emmanuel Quickly to handle that basketball so that he can, let Emmanuel Quickly be a threat. We need some other threats to step up, but let Emmanuel Quickly be a threat so that the attention isn't all on Julius Randle, and then hopefully he can get his mojo back. But he's got to control or control his actions to any anger that he has. I think he's going to be aware of that tonight. I think he's going to be aware of it, and I think he'll do a better job, controlling any reactions today. I mean, I'm expecting him to, and, the team is counting on him to do so. You know what I mean? Josh, what's going on, man?
Salute, Sam. Salute to the MBK fans. Salute to the chat out there. Happy Sunday to everyone. I agree, Sam. I expect Julius Randle to have a bounce-back game today. My prediction is Julius Randle's going to go for 40 and 10.
Okay.
I think he gets up against those matchups against Anthony Davis, that Kentucky thing that they got going on. And I fully expect Julius Randle to rebound today. And I think because of what happened yesterday, and because I think Julius Randle has kind of honed in his emotions a little bit, kind of realized the mistake that he made yesterday, I expect that to contribute to his performance today. And, he's going to play well. He's going to ball out.
I hope so. The Knicks really need him to ball out. The last couple of games, he has not played well. And I'm not talking about the emotional stuff. I'm just talking about his basketball game. He hasn't played well. And I think he understands and realizes that he hasn't played well, too. You know what I mean? So hopefully his focus is there, and he's ready to rebound and respond. He's playing against a guy, Jared Vanderbilt, decent defender. But Julius Randle should be able to handle Jared Vanderbilt, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Anthony Davis at some point in the game may switch on to Julius Randle. It all depends on foul trouble and things like that. They may just decide to keep Anthony Davis on Mitchell Robinson, who's not as much of a threat. But I think Julius Randle should be able to. This is a good matchup for him to be able to get himself back. Feeling good about how he's playing basketball. You know what I'm saying? I think that Julius Randle can do that tonight. I don't know if it's going to be 40 and 10, but I think he can do that tonight. You know what I'm saying?
I just took a quick stab at it. But I do want to address something you said. I was listening while I was coming in. You said something about Thibodeau doesn't trust Emmanuel Quickly to be that type of lead guard. And Emmanuel Quickly is not at his best.
No, I didn't say he didn't trust him. I just said that maybe Tom Thibodeau thinks Emmanuel Quickly plays his best ball when he's attacking.
Okay, fair enough. So to me, I think for the team's sake, I think it's best if Emmanuel Quickly has the ball in his hands as an on-the-ball player, especially now that Jalen Brunson's out. And I have my reasons for that. One, teams are going to gang up on Julius Randle. That's in the scouting report, right? Julius Randle, 30 feet away from the basket, particularly when teams are double teaming him, is not the best for the team, right? Second part to that is the Knicks, they run isolation heavy offense, right? So there is not much ball movement anyway. I think by getting Emmanuel Quickly the ball and have him facilitate and have him set up the offense, I think we can, again, have Julius Randle as a finisher rather than the person to kind of facilitate and do everything all at once. And that's why I think it's important if Emmanuel Quickly plays this role now. And I think it's going to become even more important in the playoffs when we get Brunson back. There's going to be times when Emmanuel Quickly is going to have to fill that role as well. So I think for the team's sake, it might not be the best for Emmanuel Quickly, or some may look at it that way, but I think for the team's sake, it's best if Emmanuel Quickly is facilitating the offense, have the ball in his hands for the most part, and have him kind of facilitate and set everything up for everyone else.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau, that one of the reasons Tom Thibodeau might still have the ball in Julius Randle's hands is because Quickly plays better off the ball. But right now, the ball needs to come out of Julius Randle's hands. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was saying earlier. It needs to come out of his hands because the offense, things, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
There you go.
I mean, bottom line, it doesn't work. And, Julius Randle, I think it helps lead to Julius Randle getting frustrated. You know what I mean? Because he has too much responsibility on his shoulders. And he just doesn't do well with that kind of responsibility. For whatever reasons that it is, he doesn't do well with that kind of responsibility. You know what I mean? Looking at the matchups tonight, though, I have Grimes guarding D'Angelo Russell, quickly on Malik Beasley, Barrett, Troy Brown Jr. We're going to talk about Barrett, Randall on Vanderbilt, and Mitchell Robinson on Anthony Davis, at least to start. You know what I mean? And then, of course, there'll be, teams switching up, players switching up, so on and so forth. But what do you think about the Grimes versus D'Angelo Russell matchup?
I don't have a problem with that. I think in regards to Quickly versus Grimes and who's the better defender, I think the way Quickly's been playing on defense, pound for pound, him and Grimes are probably on the same kind of level, right? But I think I agree with you in regards to Grimes being a little bit more versatile because of his length, right? Grimes can guard 1 through 3. And because D'Angelo Russell is going to be the person with the ball in his hands the most, I think it'll be, fair for Quentin Grimes to guard D'Angelo Russell. That's how it's been the whole season. The Knicks have been doing that. They put Grimes on Jason Tatum when we played Boston, right? Quentin Grimes is going to guard the opposing team's best or more ball dominant guard or wing. That's just how it's been the whole entire season. I don't expect anything to change today.
Yeah. This team is very different from the first time that we played them, right? I mean, 2/3 of their starting lineup is different. Obviously, LeBron James isn't there tonight. So, Troy Brown Jr. is starting at that 3 spot. But the team is very different. The last time the Knicks played the Lakers, they lost in overtime, 129-123. Looking at that game, let me see. LeBron James obviously played that game. He had a triple-double, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. Anthony Davis had 27 points and 9 rebounds in that game. Rui Hachimura started at the small forward spot. He had 19 points and 9 rebounds. All right, off the bench was Thomas Bryant, Russell Westbrook, Lonnie Walker. And Dennis Schroeder started at the point guard spot. But those guys came off the bench. Bryant, Westbrook, Lonnie Walker, all those guys came off the bench. Wenyen Gabriel did not play against the Knicks in that game. Now, when you take a look at the starting lineup, it's totally overhauled. And then the bench is probably stronger. Rui Hachimura is on the bench. Austin Reeves, that guy has been, he's a good player for the Los Angeles Lakers. You know what I mean? He's been, I've watched him play a few times, and, there are a couple times when, he was kind of the star of the show. Right, then you got Dennis Schroeder, you got Wenyen Gabriel. The bench, I think, is a little bit stronger now with Schroeder and Hachimura going to the bench. For the Knicks, you got Miles McBride, Josh Hart, Obi Toppin, Isaiah Hartenstein. What's your thoughts on just the lineups, the changes in lineups, and how the Knicks match up and the bench units?
Yeah, you're right. I think there is a clear change between when we played them last time compared to now. And LeBron's out. LeBron's not playing, right? So I think that helps us out a lot because LeBron is he's one of the best players ever. But I think with this new Laker lineup, they can shoot threes a little bit better than what they did before, right? Before the Lakers, they had a lot of trouble shooting 3-pointers. Now I think since the trade deadline, they have been knocking it down at a very high clip since they brought in those players, Beasley and Vanderbilt, right? So we're going to have to watch out for the 3-pointers today, and particularly off the bench. I think Max Christie is shooting 40%. Hachimura is not that high, but they got guys who can knock down a 3-point shot. So we got to be able to defend that. And it's going to be a tough matchup. I don't think, having Josh Hart's playing a lot of minutes with the starters, so that should definitely help us out in the starting lineup. But off that bench, we got to be able to try to compete with them and get some offense going off the bench, whether it be defense turning in transition or whether us just, being able to put the ball in the hole from the half court. We got to be able to compete with them because they can knock down 3-point shots.
Yeah, and the Lakers are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've won 3 games in a row. They're currently 33-34, half a game out of the 8th spot in the Western Conference. They're just a half game behind the Dallas Mavericks, right? So far, that trade hasn't really come, hasn't bore any fruit for the Dallas Mavericks, but the Lakers are playing good basketball. I don't. How long is LeBron? Is LeBron done for the season?
They're talking about it. They're talking about. I don't think he'll play again in the regular season. I think if we see him again, it'll become playoff time. I don't think he'll play again in the regular season.
Yeah. You know, that's what's happening with some of these older guys, man. That they're breaking down a little bit. But LeBron is still LeBron James. Over the last 15 games, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks and the Los Angeles Lakers have been good teams in the NBA. The Knicks, of course, 11-4 over the last 15 games. They won 9 in a row. Now they've lost 3 in a row. The Los Angeles Lakers 9-6 over the last 15 games. All right, and when you talk about 3-point shooting for the Los Angeles Lakers, you talked about shooting. I don't know how much these last 15 games probably include something before the trade deadline, but we can look at the last 10 as well. They're shooting 30 3-point attempts per game, 35% from the 3-point line. Let's switch this to the last 10 games and see how they're looking. In the last 10 games, the Lakers are shooting 32.9 attempts per game and shooting about 35% from the 3-point line, but they're shooting more attempts,
Right.
Than they were in the past. The Lakers are currently in scoring. They average 115.1 points per game. That's the last 10 games, right? And remember, they're 7-3 in the last 10 games, 115 points per game, about 26 assists per game for the Los Angeles Lakers. They're taking care. They average 15 turnovers a game over the last 10 games, but they're finding ways to win basketball games. All right, finding ways to win, shooting 46% from the field, about 87, 88 field goal attempts per game. So, they don't get the ball up that much, at a really high clip. So, we'll see what this game is going to be about. This should be an interesting one here. The Knicks over the last 10 games, 7-3, 118 points per game, shooting 48% from the field, shooting 36% from 3. The Knicks are shooting, over the last 10 games, 39 3-point attempts per game at a 36% clip. What's your take on that?
Well, if you combine the the last 3 games, you throw that in there. I think our percentage should be way higher. But
you mean our attempts?
No, I'm talking about the percentage. You said we're shooting 36% from 3, right, over the last 10 games.
We're shooting 36% from 3, and we're shooting like 39 attempts per game over the last 10 games.
Right. What I'm saying is the last 3 games, because our percentages have been so bad, I think that dropped us a little bit.
Right.
Right. So like, before those last 3 games, the Knicks were shooting it great from 3-point range. So that could potentially be way higher if we would have knocked those shots down in the last 3 games alone. So, I have no problem with it if the Knicks are knocking it down. If they're knocking it down somewhere close to 40%, then I'm all for it. Let's do it. But I just have an issue with the way the Knicks run their offense. Sometimes the lack of versatility can hurt us. And I get it. Julius Randle and Brunson have been playing like superstars in the isolation role. They've been playing great isolation basketball. But there's going to come a time where teams are going to start locking down and they're going to force us to take those 3-pointers. And if we're not making those, we got to be able to put the ball in the hole in other ways. And I think right now we're at a crossroads because we're struggling to try to find out how else we're going to put the ball in the hole. And without Brunson, it's going to be a very, very tough. So hopefully the Knicks can continue to get back to knocking those 3-point shots down or find ways to get the ball inside. Let's create some plays where we can get easier baskets. Because I think, it's going to be a problem for us now. It's a problem for us now, but come playoff time, I think that could be something we need to worry about.
Right. Over the last 3 games, the Knicks are shooting 25.6% from 3, and they're taking 40 attempts per game. And over the last 3 games, they've taken 93 shot attempts from 3 or 2, 93 shot attempts, 40 of them 3-point attempts. That's over the last 3 games. If you go to the last 15 games or so, which, kind of spreads it out a little bit, the Knicks still 38 attempts per game over the last 15 and shooting 36% from that 3-point line. Obviously, that 25% over the last 3 games takes it down, but, over the last 15 games, I would say they're probably closer to 38%. If you take away those last 3 games, it would probably be closer to 38%. But I mean, you can't take away the last 3 games. That's part of who they are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But still, a lot of attempts. The Knicks are averaging for the season. Well, let me go for the season, see what they're averaging, because they weren't always shooting this many threes this season. Wasn't always that high. For the season, the Knicks are 35.5 attempts per game for the season. That's for the season. But in the second half of the season, they've taken a significantly, a higher amount of attempts, in my opinion. The second half of the season, or let's just go to the last 15 games, they're 6th in the league at 38 attempts per game. So, they're taking a high amount of attempts.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it if they're knocking it down. I think if they're knocking it down, then it's nothing really for us to really complain about. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I just think we have to be a little bit more versatile, right? We have to be more versatile on how we put the ball in the hole.
I guess really, I'm just wondering what led to the uptick. That's what I'm wondering. Why the uptick?
Randall.
It's part of it.
Because I think the reason why Randall even got into that 3-point contest is before the All-Star break, he was jacking him up and he was hitting him. He was just knocking him down. And I think the team probably just took their cue from him, really.
Yeah. And it could be Randall himself taking more attempts per game too, right? Because, over the last 20 to 25 games, he has taken a high number of attempts from 3. And, on some nights he's really been hitting them. There are a couple of nights when he's been off, but he's definitely taken a high number of attempts. What do you want to see from Randall tonight?
Well, keep his emotions in check. That's number one. And I think he will. But I think, the thing with Randall, when that double team comes, he has to be able to get the ball out of his hands much, much faster. Not holding on to the basketball. The cross-court passes I really don't like too much. I just want to see Randall kind of get inside the arc a little bit and stop being on the perimeter so much. And try to get to his spots a little bit quicker and a little bit faster. And the Knicks moving off of that action. The Knicks are very stagnant when Randall has the ball for some reason. And, he has to thread the needle and force passes across the court and stuff like that. And I just don't think that really helps our offense altogether. So from him, I just want to see him get the ball out of his hands much quicker. The team to honestly react off of Randall's movement when he has the basketball in his hands. And I think that'll definitely help him out. But number one, first and foremost, is keeping his emotions in check.
Yeah. Randall, over the last 15 games, 10.1 3-point attempts per game. And
that's a lot.
And yeah, that's a lot. And he's shooting it at 37%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good. But 10.1 3-point attempts per game over the last 15. For the season, Randall was at 8.3 3-point attempts per game, and he's shooting it at 35%. So yeah, that uptick, I think it really does have to do with Randall just shooting more threes, because earlier in the season he wasn't shooting as many. Then there came a point where he just, he started letting them fly. Somewhere in like the middle of December, when the Knicks were in that 8-game winning streak, he started shooting way more threes, and they were going in. You know what I mean? And now he's taking 10 attempts per game. And here's the thing. Julius Randle, only for the season, he attempts 18.6 shots a game for the season. That's not a crazy amount of shots, and almost half of them are threes. Now, over the last 15 games, he's taken 20.4 attempts per game, and 10 of them are threes. So 50% of his shots is coming from the three-point line.
So I mean that's very, very that's very difficult to assess, because again, if Julius Randle's knocking him down, but at the same time, I don't want him to become too reliant on the 3-point shot and settling for that, if we can't get any type of offense, right?
Right.
I think he is most effective inside the arc I mean, he's only going to go into the rim. He's unstoppable. He is completely unstoppable, if they don't send that double team over there. So I want to see him get inside the rim or get inside the 3-point line and try to set up his teammates that way instead of being on the perimeter. I don't think that fits his strong suit.
Yeah.
But that's his strong suit.
Randall, over the course of the season, has averaged 6.9 free throw attempts per game. During the last 15 games, as his three-point shooting has gone up, his free throw attempts have gone down. Right, he's averaging 5.5 free throw attempts per game over the last 15, second to Jalen Brunson, who's averaging 7.5 free throw attempts. I mean, and especially right now, you're not shooting the ball well. You probably want to calm down on those 3-point attempts. Get to the basket, get to the line. You know what I mean? Get something going that way. Over the last 3 games, Julius Randle has dropped it down to 6 3-point attempts per game, and his free throw attempts per game have gone up to 6. But he's only shooting 66.7% from the stripe. You know what I mean? So over the last 3 games, he has dialed it down a bit. Hopefully, he'll keep it where it's at or less, start to go to the basket, get fouled, get to the line. I know he's frustrated right now. He doesn't feel like he's getting the foul calls, when he's inside. And maybe that's part of it, not maybe. I know that's part of his frustration. When he's inside, he don't feel like he's getting the foul calls to go to the line. Most of the foul calls for Julius Randle come when he's out in the mid-range area pulling up.
Right.
That's where he gets a lot of those foul calls because people are reaching in. They tap his arm on the pull-up, and he gets calls. He doesn't get calls when he's down low under on the box. That's still a strong suit, but he doesn't get the calls there. Most of his calls come when he's shooting up that mid-range right now.
And that's where we need to have him. And that's exactly where I would like to see Julius Randle, specifically with Brunson out and quickly handling the ball at the top of the key. I want to see Randle get right in that mid-range area. So I think the Knicks are able to do so much off of that action when Randle's in that kind of mid-range, mid-post area. He can either score himself, he can get himself to the free throw line, and I just think he's a better passer from that area of the floor rather than being that far away from the basket where he has to make cross-court passes. The double team, it gets him that high up, that further away from the basket. I just think Randle's better in that mid-range area, than anywhere else.
The only thing about the mid-range area is he can't turn his back. Right? I think when he's in that mid-range, he has to continue to face up. If he's going to go to the basket strong. Because when he turns his back, that's when the double team comes and he can't see it. Right? Because he turns his back entirely to the baseline. He can't see what's going on behind him. You know what I mean? He's strongest when he gets the ball in that mid-range area and then he attacks from that mid-range area, faces up, attacks without turning his back to the baseline or anything like that. You know what I mean? Don't want to see Julius Randle turning his back because teams have figured it out. He's going to turn his back, and now we can go collapse on him, steal the ball, and we're off to the races. You know what I mean? Face up, go to the basket, pull the mid-range, whatever you're going to do. Look for the kick out, but don't turn your back to the basket.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that, but I think that conversation is twofold because I'm looking at Tom Thibodeau and the lack of offensive movement around that action. Right, the Knicks don't move; they are frozen in time. When Randle has the ball in that area, he's looking for someone to pass it to, and the double team comes, and then he has to, forced to make an errant pass most of the time because there's no movement, there's no cutting. Everyone is, if they're moving at all, they get shifting right around the 3-point line. Right, there's no cutting, no type of action. I think, and Tibbs, he is who he is. I get it. What he's been doing this season has worked for the most part, but I think now more than ever, now that Brunson is out, we need to have some more action on offense. Some people cutting to the basket. We did it at some points earlier in this season. We had RJ cutting across the middle. Randle found him at that little free throw line extended area, and RJ was able to create and do some things there. Feed to Mitchell and whatever. Let's try to get back to doing that, and I think that'll help the offense kind of break out of its shell and break out of that slump. Create easier opportunities based off of some sort of movement. I'm not saying be like Golden State, but just move around a little bit more to help Randle out.
Right. But my thing is, I agree with you. Right, I definitely agree with you. But my thing is when Randall, when he has the ball there, just make the quick decision. If people aren't cutting, just make the decision. You're either gonna go to the basket, try your pull up, or you're gonna pass it. Like, you don't have to make the home run play every time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where he gets himself in trouble a lot. Like, he'll have a double team on him, and it's, and there'll be a person standing, out on the wing that he can pass it to that's open, but he's looking for the cross court pass or looking for the person that's open. And I get it, right? But sometimes that double team is on you so hard, just make the play to get the ball to the other person and let him swing it. You know what I mean? Instead of holding it, and he's fading back, and then he has to throw that cross court look to someone who and they might be open, but it's a tough job getting it there. Sometimes he can just he don't have to make the home run play. He can make the easy pass. You know what I'm saying? Make the quick, easy pass to get it out and get the ball around, and maybe it can even come back to you if you make it quick enough. You know what I'm saying? But if you hold it, now by the time the ball gets around the perimeter or by the time you make that cross-court pass, it's not enough time for the ball to even get back to you or get to anyone else. They got to take the shot. You know what I'm saying? I just want them to make the decisions quicker, because over these last 3 games, those decisions have come slow. Make the decisions quicker on whatever it is that he's going to do.
Right. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Now, I think the Knicks can win tonight. I think they can. Will they? We'll see. I mean, they're in a pretty bad slump scoring-wise. I mean, when you look at the last 3 games, man, nobody's shooting the ball well. Nobody. R.J. Barrett over the last 3 games, 21 points a game, 40.7% from the field, 16.7% from the three-point line. Julius Randle, 28% from the field, 22% from the three-point line. Jalen Brunson's only played 1 game, and that was 1 half over the last 3 games. So you can't really look at those numbers. Quickly, 31% from the field, 27% from the three-point line. Quentin Grimes, 45% from the field, 28% from the three-point line. Josh Hart, 60% from the field, 66.7% from the three-point line. That's only 1 attempt per game over the last 3 games. Mitchell Robinson, he's giving you 10 boards, 9.7 points. Obviously, he's going to shoot a high percentage from the field. Obi, 35% from the field, 15% from the three-point line. And I still got people arguing with me that he needs to be out there on the floor, but okay. Isaiah Hartenstein, 55% from the field, and I don't think he's attempted a 3. I think he attempted 1 3 versus the Clippers. So
I just think the thing with Obi is it's not necessarily a shame to Randall or anything like that. I just think the ball doesn't stick when you have Obi out there on the floor. And I think with Randall out there, the ball just tends to stick.
But the production isn't there when the team production isn't always there when Obi's out there on the floor.
Well, it is. It's just against the bench unit, like you always point out.
But sometimes not even against the bench unit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Obi to me just doesn't give you much production. You can play. There's a lot of teams that you can play against where the ball is moving around, but they can't score. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a balance, of the ball moving and being able to have people that can create the shot when you need to. Because, you can move the ball all you want, and then when it comes down to it, a lot of times when you see these teams that have, all this ball movement, the teams that are great have both. They have a lot of ball movement and players that can score one-on-one when it's necessary. Then you got teams that can do one or the other. You know what I mean? I just think the Knicks got to get – if Obi's going to be on the floor, he's got to give Tom Thibodeau a reason to keep him out there. Like the other night, someone was like, "Oh, Obi was out there. He had zero rebounds, 0 steals, 0 assists." Okay, and he hit a 3 points, and the rest was zeros. I mean, he's got to do something to stay out there. He's got to do a little more for me to stay out there. That's just how I feel about it.
I agree with you. I mean, I can't really argue against that. The production or lack thereof speaks for itself. But I can understand the other side of it, saying, oh, having Opie on the floor kind of, the team the offense just kind of wakes up a little bit. Now, you're right. They got to put the ball in the hole regardless. And I think part of that is Quickly's not really with that bench unit anymore. So there's really not that guy to really put the ball in the hole in that bench unit now that Quickly's starting. So there's that part of it as well. But, this team just needs Brunson back. I think when Brunson gets back, everything will kind of even itself
Brunson
out.
back big time, man. They need Brunson back.
No question.
There, big time. It's crazy how you can look and see how one player impacts the game so much. You know what I mean? One player can impact the game so much. It's crazy. But I mean, and here's the thing though. I don't agree with people. Like I'm looking, if you go on Basketball Reference and look at the Knicks offensive rating with Obi on the floor and off the floor, there's a big difference. But of course, he's playing most of the time with the second unit, so it's hard to really determine what it is, because in order to really determine his impact, he needs to play with the starters so that you can see what his impact really is. Obi, right. If you're comparing him to Randall, right? Or if you're comparing the way the offense looks. Because if you go in Basketball Reference, it'll say the offensive rating with Obi on the court is 119.9. With him off the court, the offensive rating is 119.4. But he's on the floor with the second unit. You know what I mean? And then he's on the floor. There were times when the second unit didn't even include Emmanuel Quickly. So it's hard to determine what the real numbers are. The opponents, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I've kind of moved away. I mean, I do think there is a little bit more ball movement with Obi in there, but I'm going to kind of shy away from that a little bit more, because I just think that's how Thibodeau coaches. The Knicks, statistically, if you look at every analytical stat that there is in regards to how the Knicks run their offense, they're at the bottom of the league in passing, passes attempted, passes made, assist potential. The Knicks are at the bottom of the league and all that. And for the most part, they've been successful because you have Randall and Brunson playing like superstar players and, playing like superstars, right? So I think it's more than just having Obi out there on the floor versus Randall. I think it's really what Tom Thibodeau likes to do in his kind of coaching philosophy from an offensive perspective. But now we're running into trouble without Brunson. Now we got to figure out other ways to score. So maybe having Obi out there kind of, helps us in that regard, give us a spark or something. Because we need to try something, because right now what we're doing is not working without Brunson. So
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's Obi unless he's hot. I mean,
he was the best 3-point shooter on the team at one point, remember?
Yeah, that was early in the season. He was knocking it down. You know what I mean? He was hitting it. He was knocking it down. And at that point in time, he was getting like 17 minutes a game. And it felt like, because that, Randall's minutes were a little bit lower than, I don't know, Tom Thibodeau, he went out for injury and it hasn't been the same since he's come back.
And Randall also took that next step as well.
Randall also started playing really good basketball too. You know what I mean? But it hasn't been the same since he's come back. So we'll see. The Knicks need somebody to step up though, because those shooting numbers that we read off over the last 3 games have been horrible,
abysmal,
all the way around. Abysmal. That's just bad. That's just bad. So something's got to give. You know what I mean? Hopefully it happens tonight. But I'm gonna get up out of here because I'm on my way to go see Creed 3. See what that movie's about. I'm a big Rocky fan, so you know what I mean? I've been a Rocky fan for a long time. If there's nothing to watch, I will watch a Rocky movie. And I know everything that's going to happen, probably know it line for line, but I'll watch that. I'll watch it. Love Rocky movies, so hopefully this one is as good as the previous 2. You know what I mean? But your any predictions for tonight?
Julius Randle performs like Rocky Balboa, comes back, and he's gonna score 40 and 10. That's my prediction for Julius Randle. He's gonna be sensational tonight, unstoppable, and I think the Knicks pull it out in LA.
Okay, all right. Let's hope that we get it done. Right now, the Brooklyn Nets, 38-29, are beating the Denver Nuggets 109-97. And of course, the Nets are currently in the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. They're trying to hold on to it. Right? The Knicks are 39-30 in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. They've lost 3 in a row. You know what I mean? And the Miami Heat, are they playing today? The Miami Heat are not playing today, but they sit a couple of games behind the Knicks in the standings. The Knicks, they couldn't afford this slide. They had it, but they couldn't afford the slide. They needed to try to, if they wanted to stay pace with Cleveland and keep separation between Brooklyn, they needed to win, and they did not do that. The Knicks are currently, right now, they are, both the Knicks and Brooklyn are 10 games behind the first place Milwaukee Bucks. If the Brooklyn Nets win today, they'll be a half game above the Knicks. And then if the Knicks win tonight, they'll tie back up with the Brooklyn Nets. Both teams would be, at that point, 10 games above 500, but the Nets would have an advantage in percentage points. So we'll see what happens, see how it transpires, man. Hopefully the Knicks can get this win tonight in L.A. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get up out of here. I should, let me see, the movie starts at like 7:15. Probably on my way home, I'll be able to listen to the game, and then I should be able to do a post-game show later on this evening. So if I'm not able to do one this evening, I'll be doing a follow-up show tomorrow morning. So there we go. I'm up out of here. Josh, appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. And let's go Knicks, man. Let's get this win tonight. Peace.
Get it.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench.